Well, hi everyone and welcome to another episode of Dan and the Doctor. I'm here with the big fella himself, Daniel Repacholi, member for the Hunter. Merry Christmas, Dan. What do you got on there?
Merry Christmas, Gordon, and Merry Christmas to all. I'm in my festive cheer and really looking forward to everyone to have a great Christmas and New Year. So we'll be coming with these episodes next year as well. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and see everything that happens here.
And can I just say, mate, you know, you're not normally a trendsetter in the old chamber, apart from the tyres because they're bloody brilliant. But I mean, grey suit, brown boots, brown belt. You're really, what are you from Are you from Sydney, mate?
Yeah. Thank you, Gordon, for taking the piss out of me straight away, and that's okay. I've been waiting for that. But Theo and Ted's great ties, they're in Greta. Make sure you get onto them for your Christmas specials. But I've got some brown boots on today with a grey suit, which is not usually my style because I forgot my black belt. But anyway, we're working on that. And now that you've just taken the piss out of me straight up, that's good. But Merry Christmas all, and on to you, Gordon.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Now, our guest today is way more of a trendsetter than old Daniel Repacholi here. He's
smooth operator. He is
smooth operator. Probably one of the best looking men in Parliament. He looks like Tom Cruise today. Look at all this black. We have right here Andrew Charlton, the member for Parramatta. Welcome to the show.
I didn't realise it was a fashion podcast, but you're looking good. You're looking good, Dan.
Thank you, Andrew. But
I don't think I've ever seen someone this chiselled before.
No,
look at this.
No.
Look at the specimen.
Especially sitting next to us.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Maybe it's that direct contrast.
Oh yeah, and that people always look better next to us.
I've got to say,
I reckon we bring the best out in them.
Look, Alex and Shaylee are lucky.
Oh, very lucky
to have us in their lives,
and we're extremely lucky to have them as well.
Exactly.
Love you, Alex. Mwah.
Love you too, Shaylee. Now, moving right along. Andrew, you are the member for Parramatta.
Right.
Welcome to the show. Tell us, what has it been like to be a parliamentarian in this government?
As you guys know, we're your first-term MPs. It's a big life change.
That's right.
But it's a really rewarding life change. You get the opportunity to help people every day. You get the opportunity to meet a whole bunch of people who you would probably never otherwise meet. And I represent a part of Sydney that is like just one of the most dynamic parts of Australia. It's always things happening. It's like really fast growing, really multicultural, really dynamic. And so being able to be part of that and to contribute to that is just really rewarding.
Now the unpolished answer. Because I feel like, I thought I was on TV there.
He's been rehearsed a couple of times. He's been to a couple of schools and events, hasn't he?
That was in front of the mirror, wasn't it? With the black get-up. Jeez.
Sure. It's going to be a hard half hour.
That's good because we're going for 45 minutes.
Look, when people say, when old friends say to me, look, how's it going? I say to them, it's great most days. Because most days are great, but you do have tough days. Days when like you just can't get done what you want to get done, where you feel like you're not delivering what you want to deliver, where you can't be in two places at once, where you feel like you're not spending enough time in any of the different roles you have as a parliamentarian in Canberra, as a local representative in your electorate, as a husband and father. It's like, sometimes I feel like you are trying to tuck a bed sheet onto a bed where the sheet is just a little bit too small for the bed, and you spend as much time as you can in Canberra, making sure you do all the work you're supposed to be doing down here, and you sort of tuck that corner in, and then you go home to your electorate and you try and spend heaps of time in the electorate meeting everybody.
Great analogy.
It is.
I've done this one before too.
And you tuck that in and it pulls on the other side, and then you're not spending enough time with your wife or your kids, and so that's the hardest thing. But I think I'm hoping that over time we all get better at that and sort of learn how to make it work.
Time's everything, isn't it, Dan? So look, you gave us that brilliant bed analogy of what it's like to be an MP, but you haven't always been an MP. What did you do before you got in here?
I started life as an academic, working in universities, teaching economics.
So you're a doctor as well, aren't you?
Yeah, not the kind of doctor that can actually solve your problems, that you have to go to Dr. Reid for that.
Oh, very good.
If you have any economic problems
They
that need
solve the
healing,
problems of the nation.
exactly.
So Doctor of Economics.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Yep. So this is the first time I've been here with two doctors, and it's a little intimidating just being a poor little old tradie on the side here.
Stop.
But you know what?
You know you're an Olympian, right?
Pretty happy I lived a life, though. Weirdo.
Just rewinding, just for a moment. So,
Sure.
Doctor of Economics, at university, and then what happened after that?
So I did my doctorate at university, and then
Where
at Oxford University in the UK.
Of course he did. Very good.
In the UK.
In the UK, and then
It's like James Bond.
and
I reckon he could,
I know we said Tom Cruise, but
he could bloody abseil out the window.
sure, is this edited? This
Dr.
podcast?
Dr.
You,
Charlton.
you cut out all the
We do. We cut
stupid
out the
bits, or you
dribble.
can,
we cut out the dribble.
okay, great. Or is this the gold? I don't know. I'm not sure. So I did my PhD, then I went and taught economics at the London School of Economics and was a researcher for a while.
How long were you over there for doing that? Like doing your study and then teaching?
6 years
Yep.
in the UK, all up. And I came back to Australia and I worked for Kevin Rudd when he was Prime Minister.
We'll definitely come back to that.
And then Kevin Rudd, what's the word I'm looking for? Ceased to be Prime Minister in 2010. And I went and did some work in a corporate in Wesfarmers in Western Australia, lived in Western Australia for a little while. Moved to Melbourne, lived in Melbourne for a little while. And then started a business in 2015. And I finished up with that business literally just before I came into Parliament.
And what was that business?
A business called Alpha Beta.
Alpha Beta.
Alpha Beta.
And what did that do?
It was economics and data and public policy. Those are the three things that I had always loved in my life.
Room of people. Data analytics, economics,
been
and
a
public
fun
policy.
Look,
Was it like?
I realise I'm not speaking to a big audience when I say those three things, but then again, you guys don't have a big audience.
Hey, you know, what about time we've seen some bloody humour from you? All I'm imagining is, like, when they talk about this group of people, I'm just imagining the Wolf of Wall Street movie. That's exactly Is that what it was like?
Very much not. Imagine that, but set in an academic environment.
Yeah,
so
okay.
it's less sharp suits and more cardigans and sandals. Yeah.
Cardigans
And so cardigans, I'm glad you brought that up because
I love a good cardigan.
the good old Doc here loves
Yeah.
a good cardigan.
Love a
Yeah.
good cardigan.
And you don't mind, I've seen
Yeah.
you a couple of times with a, I don't know whether it's a cardigan or maybe a
Mate.
cigar overcoat where you're having a cigar and a
an evening jacket.
Yeah,
I've
an
got
evening
some-
jacket that
I've got
doesn't mind
some-
a elbow pad. Is that right?
I've got some fresh fashion shakes for you
Do you
boys. I've got some. when I was a student, we had one lecturer who he just had a particular fashion style, and that fashion style was, I don't care what you think. And he would ride his bicycle to our lectures, and so he'd wear the traditional academic outfit. So he had the brown corduroy pants. He'd have sandals on, socks and sandals.
Oh, yes, stylish.
He'd be riding his bike. And then when you're riding your bike, as you know, you don't want to get your corduroys caught in the chain. So he would do what any sensible person would do, and he'd get the corduroys and he'd tuck them into the socks and pull the socks up to the knees. So now he's got corduroy pants, socks up to the knees, holding in the flapping trouser bottom, and then sandals. And I thought to myself, at that stage I was in academic life, and I thought to myself, if I ever get to that point, I really need somebody to shoot me. But
Charlton made a fashion decision this morning in the mirror.
I'll tell you what,
That's why he did all black.
But I'll tell you what, actually, after I'd been an academic for a little while, I was like, you'd go into the office, it's quite a solitary life. And actually wearing sandals makes a lot of sense because you're like, you get into your office, you're comfortable, you take your shoes off. You don't want to be putting your shoes on and off every time you go make yourself a cup of tea. So I just had I had the sandals there and I was wearing my socks and I just thought, I'm just going to make a cup of tea. I'm not going to put the whole shoes on. And so pretty quickly I'd be like, yep, I'm the socks and sandals guy.
So there's a difference here, Gordon, between the academics and the tradies, right? Because I could tell you, an academic, they tuck their corduroys into their socks. A tradie would have just made a guard for it. So they didn't have to look like a knob. So anyway, we're getting a little bit off topic as we do in this. So let's get back to Kevin Rudd. Kevin Rudd, how long did you work with Kevin Rudd for?
I worked for him from very soon after he got elected to the day that he ceased to be Prime Minister the first time.
Yep.
And then I didn't work for him the second time he was Prime Minister.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And can you just talk us a little bit through that? Because he's an eccentric man as well and a very entertaining man.
Well,
And you're in the category.
I was talking about Gordon and I.
Don't typecast me.
But, I was talking about Gordon and I, but if you just think where you fit, it's okay. How was it actually working for the man? Because he was an absolute superstar within the party, a superstar of a campaign.
Yeah.
He had fan boys and fan girls following him all around the country with what he was doing. It would have been so interesting to be part of that.
Yeah. The very first day, I came into the Prime Minister's office on my first day in the job, and I remember the Chief of Staff was showing me around, and it was like they just finished the campaign, and the campaign had been like basically a year-long effort since Kevin became the leader of the opposition. And I was walking through the office, and there were just all these people who were just exhausted. You could see just like it had been grueling. All the energy was drained out of them. You know, they were slumped over their computers, you know, working really hard hours. And the Chief of Staff said to me, he goes to me, see these guys? They're having the time of their lives. and you know what? We were. It was like the funnest, most enjoyable, most rewarding job that I'd ever had. My friends today are still like my closest friends. Many of them are the people in that office who we worked with, you know, from early in the morning to late at night. And Kevin Rudd was a really inspiring person to work for, because he woke up every single day and thought, how can I do something today? He was like, and you know, and often to his cost. And I think a lot of people criticise that government for doing too much too quickly. But to be in that environment, like with such an ambitious leader, trying to do so many things, to work for that was great. And really exciting.
Yeah, good. And what's a wilder story you could tell us, of what it was, some little trips you went on, or the end of Rudd party as such?
Oh my God, there were so many great times. I mean, this isn't a funny story, but
You're flicking through the files of the ones
it's
you
the
can.
no. I mean, the most interesting story was the global financial crisis. So you've got to remember, I had been a young economics academic, you know, sitting there like, you know, leafing through the textbook, and then suddenly I'm working for the Prime Minister of Australia. We're in New York in September 2008. We're there like just after Lehman Brothers falls. So Lehman Brothers falls in mid-September. We're there like a week later. And we go in to meet the president of the New York Federal Reserve, a guy called Tim Geithner, and he tells us that he's been sleeping in his office because this thing that happened a week ago, no one understands, is going to be massive and drag the whole world into recession. And Kevin Rudd is just seized by this risk. We go back to Australia, and he starts this economic policy program that is one of the quickest, largest, most ambitious economic programs that any country does, that Australia has ever done. And ultimately, Australia is one of the only countries that doesn't go into recession during that period, partly because of that. Like, that was just such an exciting thing to be a part of.
Sounds like it was Charlton's idea. I wrote that. That's why we're here.
Charlton's there with the K Rudd.
Yeah.
Just going, we got to do this, big boy.
Yeah.
I'm advising you.
Sort it out, lock it in, and here's the paper.
Yeah, that's it. You just go and do what I tell you. And
that's right.
I wish that was true, but Kevin Rudd is like just the most forward-thinking person, and he drove that government really hard in that period. And look, that was really exciting. And that, to be honest, like that was the moment where I was like, if I can do more of this in my life, in whatever capacity, that's me.
yeah, good.
Or you go.
No, okay, I'll go.
Yeah, you go.
And he's still a superstar now. He helped you on your campaign, and I remember you telling me when we were just having a chat one day that the crowd still love him and still flock to him. And like you were just on the side saying, "Who's this little boy on the side?"
I'll tell you what.
Come here, child.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like once a staffer, always a staffer. And so I'm on the campaign trail with him in Parramatta in 2022, And I just and I'm the candidate now, right? But I just go straight back into staffing mode. So we're both walking towards the car, and I just instinctively quickly speed up to go a few paces before him, open the door, he gets in, I close the door, I jump in the back, and he turns around and he goes, "Mate, you're the candidate now. Start acting like it."
Just quickly, has Chad ever opened the door for you?
I don't think I've ever had the door open for me in my life. I don't think so. Yeah. I've asked Alex to do it a couple of times, but she's refused.
Yeah. She's drives off.
So I've got a couple of office items here. Do they bring any flashbacks for you from the K-Rod times?
Don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you just want to have a bit of a look here? Would you like to touch them, or are you
I know what you're
bit shaky on them?
I will tell you one funny story.
Oh,
And that is we just landed in Berlin, and there's this it's a state visit, so there's this huge guard of honour, right? There's just all these people wearing their very fancy military outfits, big red carpet down the plane. All the staff on the Prime Minister's plane have woken up after a night flight, and we're sort of quickly getting dressed so we can scramble down, and we're all going out the back entrance, and the Prime Minister's going out the front entrance down the red carpet, and the Prime Minister can't find his shoes. And everyone's looking around she was just scouring the plane.
The best segue story ever.
For shoes. and they're just nowhere. It's a steel tube. I don't know how a pair of shoes gets out of a plane, but no one can find the Prime Minister's shoes. We're running around, can't find them, and so everyone just looks at me and goes. And I'm like, okay. So the Prime Minister gets off the plane on this state visit to Berlin, walks down the stairs in my shoes, scuffy shoes, past the red carpet, and all the cameras taken off. And then there's one guy who turns around and gets a photo of the back of the plane where the staff are getting off. It's me walking off in bare feet off this plane across the tarmac.
Best segue story. I just want to. You did well. That was good. Hey, so you got the same foot size as K-Rod?
I can't.
So you got a smaller foot?
I can't remember whether my shoes were a good fit, too big or too small. I can't remember.
Yeah, right.
You have to imagine they'd be a little bit bigger for
I will say this. Big shoes to fill, Kevin Rudd.
Big shoes, yeah, fair enough. He had big shoes to fill when he put yours on.
That's exactly right.
I was speaking metaphorically, but feel free to be a dull literalist about this. Yeah,
a dull literalist. That's a compliment.
Thanks. You've got to tailor it to our audience sometime.
Sure. Can't you explain it to them individually later by calling them up and going?
It's old.
This is exceptionally harsh, and I like that we get a bit of blowback from a guest.
This is the first time too.
It is. I think we should cut it out. I think it's going to be the half an hour one, but we'll see. Did they find the shoes? It's not like you're on the plane with another 400 or 500 other people.
They did.
They did. That's good.
They did find the shoes, yeah.
Where were they?
You got any more for us there?
Okay, we'll probably cut that. Anyway.
There's going to be some exciting story behind the shoes.
Yeah.
Now, Dr. Charlton, you are an author, is that right? Going into your office, there's 100 books that you've written. Tell us a bit about those.
There's a couple. I mean, when I was an academic, I wrote. In fact, that's how I met Kevin Rudd. I did research into the economy, and I'd written a book about trade policy and how countries can trade fairly with each other. And then I wrote a book about the Australian economy in 2007. And at that stage, Kevin Rudd was the leader of the Labor Party, and he kindly agreed to launch the book. And that's how we first met.
Oh, good work. But there's been a few books since then.
You went on India recently.
I wrote a book last year on India, about Australia's relationship with India.
Very good reading too. If you need it, just hit up Andrew Charlton's office.
And
he'll sign you a copy too.
Speaking of Christmas, nothing says Happy Christmas like a book from Andrew Charlton.
And with that, listeners and viewers, most people say Merry Christmas, but it just depends on where you live, I suppose.
I don't know what that means.
You just said Happy Christmas.
In the regions, we say Merry Christmas.
Okay.
It's a point of contention.
Fine distinction. I didn't realise you were that touchy about it, but sure.
Well, our four viewers and 3 listeners really want to get the inside word.
About the happy, yeah.
And it's tough.
Oh, just. Okay, sorry.
There's been a few little things that just came out recently around power and what we're doing with trying to get renewables online.
Is this the
quicker
policy?
and
Are we
things
seriously
like
going
this.
into the policy section
Well,
of the podcast? Is that what's happening
no,
here?
we're not going through the policy yet,
Okay.
but there's a bit of a difference between what we want to do and what the opposition want to do with nuclear power.
Yeah.
We want to do the cheapest form of power, which is renewable energy, backed up by gas, backed up by batteries, backed up by pumped hydro, and things like that. We've got a bit of power going on at the moment. Have you had any issues with power lately, just with your residents that you've been staying at here in Canberra?
I see where this is
Yeah, 'cause
going.
there's a-
I see where this is going.
There's been blackouts, is what I heard.
We've had blackouts.
Blackouts, yeah. And what happened to the blackouts?
Were they widespread or were they quite isolated?
I think they're very isolated.
Extremely
extremely
isolated.
for two, I think. For two residents
Yes.
in the one
Dwelling.
dwelling. Yes, that's
right,
right.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Run
That's
us
right.
through that, Dr.
That's
Charlton.
right. Look, I'd love to run you through this, but I obviously don't want to, break the confidentiality of the Charlton Burns household.
Oh, fair enough.
But
fair enough.
suffice to say, there was fault on both sides about why this happened. I don't think my housemate accepts his share of the responsibility for it, though. By the way, nor does he see the funny side of it. But yeah, we've had a.
The people will.
We've had a couple of nights where we've had to make sure our phones are charged before we go home. Yeah.
So, as responsible as you are, because we can see that how responsible
Sure.
you are,
Sure.
I'd put the full blame on this onto your housemate.
You think Burns should get the
I
blame
think
for
Burns
this?
should get the full blame. Too busy playing basketball, not busy enough paying his power bills.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think? Is that what you think it is?
Yeah. No. I don't really want to throw a rock here in case it comes back to me. So yeah. Just.
We'll throw it. That's okay. Straight through the window. Bang.
How late is too late to pull the plug on this interview? Have we passed that point? I don't know.
Never passed it.
Never passed it.
The one question I've had a few of our fellow caucus members, especially the new ones,
go on.
ask me. They knew you were coming in today, and they just said, "How do we actually get to come to your holiday house? We just want to come and have a beer there and just really admire the place."
Yeah, I think being nice to me on podcasts that's one of the criteria that I've got.
We're going to stand outside
Yes.
then.
We'll just park at the front.
For the first time we've been kicked out of an establishment.
That's it, definitely not the first time I've been kicked out of an establishment. Yeah.
Very good. And so you recently were overseas, is that right?
Yeah, last week.
Yeah, yes.
I
Tell us about that.
I went to India last week and met with some of their cybersecurity professionals. Learned a bit about the Indian digital economy, which is just mind-blowingly massive and advanced.
So what does that look like? 'Cause I know that Dan and I aren't really brushed up on our international cybersecurity policy like we should be, but
Even our
educate us a bit on what that
internal
means.
cyber security policy are a little bit rough on as well.
Yeah.
Well,
Where's my phone, actually? There it is. Very good. Yes.
Well, guys,
Tell us a bit more.
There are some simple things you can do. Complex passwords, multi-factor authentication, and make sure your software is up to date, and you should be fine.
I hate complex passwords. I just,
You should be able to remember them. You're a doctor.
You give me a character, a number, a bloody capitalised letter, some sort of word that isn't my name.
All right. We're learning a bit more about Gordon here too, people.
Runs password one exclamation mark. You wrote it.
Very good, very good.
Message to the hackers of the world. Soft target.
Just find Gordon's book and you're done.
I think password 123, and you'll be fine.
So
Exclamation mark.
So what we did forget to mention is Andrew has just recently been announced as a special envoy, and he was always going to be out of the group of 2022, the new class that came in.
Exactly right.
He was always going to be the first one that went up and stepped up, and he's doing a great job. Do you want to talk us a bit about what the special envoy is and exactly what you do? Because our viewers and listeners, the 5 of them, would definitely be very interested in this.
Well, this government takes cybersecurity very seriously. That's why the government appointed the first Minister of Cybersecurity, which was Claire O'Neill, and is now Tony Burke. Cybersecurity is just such a massive problem for the future. I think of it as like the biggest evolution in crime since the invention of the firearm. It's enabled criminals to just attack us in whole new ways.
Yeah.
And it is now the biggest form of crime around the world. It costs the world $10 trillion in cybersecurity.
10 trillion.
10 trillion. The
Jesus Christ.
the cost of cybersecurity now is greater than the cost of the entire drugs trade across every single drug in the world. And so as a community, we need to learn how to deal with this new threat. And that means hardening up our businesses, working with our small businesses, working with individuals to make sure that Australia remains a safe place. And for me, that is really important because I've spent a lot of my life working on the digital economy in Australia. I honestly think that's where a lot of Australia's prosperity is going to come in the future. But we don't get into that prosperity in the digital economy unless we have strong cybersecurity, because people will be afraid and nervous to engage. Like, if you're a small business and you've got this great new productivity tool in the digital world, you're not going to adopt that unless you feel secure about it. So for me, cybersecurity is like the bedrock basics of the Australian transition into the digital economy.
That's impressive, and it's great having you in this position because you're definitely well suited for it. And to all the viewers and listeners out there, we are working hard on this. I know I get lots of correspondence around cybersecurity issues, SMSs, phone calls. So remember, the only phone calls you get where you should answer is from your federal members when they're doing a bit of phone banking saying hi. Coming up to an election and all.
Can I ask a serious question, actually, because I'm interested in this? The cybersecurity aspect of healthcare. I know that I've worked in institutions previously where they've had quite significant cyber threats actually take down systems, and we've had to go back to paper and pages and faxes, which we still use pages and faxes. So we went back to paper and all that sort of stuff, and you're using whiteboards in emergency and all that sort of stuff. How do you see the federal government's role in protecting our health institutions and making sure that the cyber threat isn't affecting patient care?
I mean, this is a really big problem, and it's not just a theoretical problem, it's a real problem. You know, we've seen hospital systems around the world be the subject of cyber attacks. In the UK, not that long ago, during the WannaCry hack, the NHS was attacked in the UK, and they had interruptions in patient care. They had emergency departments that didn't have access to their technology, and that really put people's lives at risk. So there are critical areas of our economy, like healthcare, like the energy sector, like telecommunications, which are the subject of attacks by bad actors around the world. And the consequences of those for Australians can literally be life-threatening in an area like health. So that's why the government takes cybersecurity so seriously, and we've actually introduced new standards now that every healthcare provider, every telco, every energy sector participant will have to meet to ensure minimum standards of cybersecurity, and that will keep Australians safer.
And so with the cybersecurity, sorry, this is a serious question. Sorry,
No, that's good. We go serious
fascinated by it.
sometimes.
So is it only that we're in the defence mode, or are we on the offence mode as well? Are we taking the fight to the people that are causing these crimes?
Well, a bit of that information is public and a bit is not public.
Yeah, naturally.
But the cybersecurity minister, particularly the last cybersecurity minister, Claire O'Neill, announced that Australia was developing an offensive capability, and that offensive capability is about us punching back on the people who are trying to do harm to Australians.
Very good.
That's good to hear, and see, we are working hard on this, so just make sure you keep up to date with your passwords, keep up to date with your, what was the other one? Keep doing the setting, new, anyway.
Complex passwords,
Thank you.
multi-factor authentication, and make sure your software's up to date.
That's why he's a special envoy, not me.
Now, how do you stay ridiculously good looking? So now we're straight off the rails again. Look at this Adonis before us.
Yeah. Mrs. Charlton, lucky lady.
Yeah, lucky. I think we're lucky to be here, mate. In the presence of what looks like one of those statues in Italy. So do you run? Do you? What do you? Yeah, that's right.
I do. Like, one of the nice things about Canberra is you get the chance to do a bit of exercise. Lots of people do soccer, and I know you do basketball, Dan. I do a little bit of running. To be honest, a couple of years ago, I tore the ligaments in my knee, so I've been on a pretty slow recovery from that. So I've been working back over the last couple of years. I'm probably now at, like, I can do an extremely slow 5K run, and I'm just working it back up. But yeah, it's one of the nice things about Canberra is being able to go to the gym in the morning with some mates, and I go to the gym with Sam Ray and Josh Burns a bit. They pump up the tunes.
Beautiful.
They've been known to go for the show tunes. Like musical medley, bit of It's a unique taste.
Yeah.
To see three guys, pumping iron to the
sound of music.
to the sound of music.
I'll come on down one
Yeah,
day.
come on down, please do.
I wish we knew this for a couple of more podcasts before this one, because Sam would have copped it on that one too. But we'll keep it in the bank for it when we do Josh Burns.
Oh yeah, well, that's going to
Yes,
be a big
yes.
one.
Oh yes, yes.
Be a big one.
Love a
We'll
bit of
invite you
crossover.
and sit in the back
I
row.
want to sit back there.
And you do a bit of running in the electorate too. You got the wonderful Parramatta River and all the nice parks and things around there. We see a lot on your socials that you're doing that, which is good. Getting out there and talking to the people on the running track.
Yeah. Parramatta is a beautiful part of the world. We've got this amazing, beautiful Parramatta Park, which is great to run around. It's also really historic. Like Parramatta Park is where a lot of Sydney's early colonial history began. It's where the government house is. It's where the first farm is. It's just around the corner from some of Australia's oldest buildings. So yeah, it's a beautiful part of the world.
There's a building in Parramatta that you're trying to save. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, Parramatta, thank you for this segue. Parramatta has some of Australia's best heritage, both Indigenous heritage and colonial heritage, because when Governor Phillip and the first fleet came to Sydney Cove, they really struggled. Like they were trying to raise crops, but the land was very sandy. And so after about 6 months, the crops failed and they said, look, we just got to go up the river and try and find fresh water. And so they went up the river to Parramatta, where as soon as the water became fresh, they jumped out of the boat. And that's where they sort of re-established a new headquarters of the colony and first made agriculture work. And so around that area, there is just incredible buildings from that time, which are a little bit underappreciated in Australia, I think, and definitely need to be protected. They don't get the historical preservation that some of the other really important sites in Australia get, but they're every bit as significant. And so there's a big campaign in Parramatta to protect those sites, to give them World Heritage listing where they deserve that, to make sure that they're getting national listing, state listing, and so that those things are there for future generations.
That's great to hear that you're working hard on that with the community, because that's something that really matters to the community. Also, what you have in Parramatta is amazing food. You guys have the most multicultural food in probably all of Sydney around that area. How do you stay as good as you are? Because I can tell you, I would be putting on a lot of kgs just because I wouldn't be able to not go somewhere and not try their food.
The food is amazing. Like we have lots of different cuisines in Parramatta. We have incredible Indian food. We have incredible Chinese food. We've got great Lebanese food. We've got wonderful Greek food. Yeah, the food is really incredible.
Sounds good, eh?
Yeah.
So have you got like a regular?
There's a place that I go to for breakfast which makes falafel from scratch. I don't know if you guys like falafel, but I'd never had falafel that was it's literally made in front of you and then like cooked in front of you and served completely fresh, and it's just beautiful.
And is that like your regular?
It blows away what you would, the falafel you'd buy in the supermarket.
Yeah, okay. We'll have to give it a go.
Yeah.
Do you like falafel?
I like food. I'm not
picky?
biased.
Not
I'm
picky?
Not picky at all. Yeah, food's a big winner for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, Indian food. I love Indian food.
I went to my first Indian event not too long ago, and they served me up. Me and my daughter up a whole lot of food, and I was a bit worried about how Zoe would go with it. And we ate with our fingers and everything. It was great, and it was all fantastic. Really, really nice it was. Even my daughter smashed it down as well. My 11-year-old, she really, really enjoyed it. So it's great that we have such great cuisines in this country.
That's right.
And what about the food here up in the members' dining hall? Do you get that much?
Sometimes. Well, but they've got a thing on Wednesday night.
It's a Wednesday night thing. What's that called again?
What's it called, Andrew?
I don't know, guys.
know?
I'm struggling with this one.
Oh, you know what? It's the buffet.
Oh, the buffet.
The buffet.
Yeah, sorry,
The
I
buffet.
forgot. Yeah.
The buffet, that's right.
Haven't heard of that concept before.
Which is...
Thanks for letting me.
We know.
And
Did you enjoy the buffet?
This is a big misnomer, as you both know. This is a big misnomer.
Negative on that. No, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. So tell us about the buffet, Andrew. Do you like the buffet?
I do love a good buffet.
Now that you know what it is.
Look, I've been going to buffets since you two were in short pants. I'll have you both know.
he does look old, doesn't he?
He's coming out hard. A little bit of salt and pepper up top.
And I'm all for the salt and pepper, may I say, because it makes you look distinguished, Andrew.
Yeah,
Distinguished gentlemen. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, you were talking about the
It's
buffet.
only going in one direction, so you got to embrace it. Yeah, no. Look. We do have a lot of fun up at the buffet with our class dinners, and also like the other great food in Canberra is the Charlton Burns residence, which has been known to cook a few
I've had
meals.
Charles
yeah,
Burton.
both of you
We've
might
both
have
been there before.
it's
for
been
the
good.
you might have
Yes.
partaken. I think when you came, Dan, Josh made homemade Big Macs.
Yes,
Is
he
that right?
did, yes. And they were very good too. And you know what? The dessert from that was probably the highlight of the day for
Thank
me.
you. Thanks
The
for saying
homemade
that.
Big Mac was good, but the dessert was really good because you're,
very much.
some would say world renowned for your desserts.
Yeah.
Especially the first one. I think we should get Christy McBain on this show one day. And
I think so.
We might even just ask her a couple of questions just as a segue in for this one to really cut in. But
She promised to never mention that again.
she
so
had
I
to
hope
just
that-
push it out of the way. What happened on this one?
Look, we, as you know, but your viewers will not. Viewer will not.
He's so harsh. So harsh.
Jesus.
I live in Canberra with another MP, a Melbourne
Josh
MP called
Burns.
Josh Burns.
Quickly got that in there.
The one who forgot to pay the power bill.
And allegedly. It's not
Allegedly.
something I deny that.
Allegedly.
And one of the great things about living with somebody else in Canberra, I was in hotels for a little while, as lots of MPs are, but it's kind of, you're moving around a lot. It's like it's quite. I found it like it's not as much fun if you're like going home to a hotel room by yourself. So living in Canberra with Josh is great, but mostly because he's just a fantastic cook. He's just an absolute weapon in the kitchen. And so one of the things we like to do is have people over on a sitting night in Canberra. I've offered to cook a few nights, but Josh just doesn't think that I'm up to it, frankly. And so he always cooks the main course and he lets me cook the dessert. And when we were doing one of our first dinners, I decided I really needed to flex. I needed to really push the boat out to impress Josh.
Yeah.
So he'd give me, he'd like, think a bit more highly of me in the kitchen and maybe give me a Guernsey to do the main course. And I tried to cook this like apple tart. And the recipe, you're running out of Parliament. You're not able to get out of here until 6:30. You have people coming over just after 7. I had to go to the shops, get the ingredients. And it was like, it said you could do it in an hour. And I was like, well, if I just speed everything up, I'll be able to do it. I'll be able to do it much quicker.
Oh yeah.
And so I
Especially for baking.
I made this apple tart that was. I must have just burnt the hell out of the sugar, and it tasted like petroleum, and it looked like petroleum, and I don't know why I served it, but I guess I hadn't tasted it. So I put it up. I put it in front of everybody. And Christian McBain just looks at it and just doesn't even say a word, just goes, shh.
Well, you got better though, because the one that I came to, you brought your ice cream maker.
Oh, that's right.
That was what we had. We had lychee ice cream. We had
Yeah.
two other different kinds. I can't remember what they were. But they were
Was it
quite
chocolate
nice.
cake
They were
or
quite
something,
nice.
I think. Was that?
Yeah.
it was
Look,
good.
I've covered for my lack of skills by getting good kit. So I do have an ice cream maker at home, and that covers a whole range of weaknesses in my own skills.
So are you saying to all the tradies out there, if you're not so good at your trade, just buy the best tools, and you'll be able to go right over.
Yeah. Tell us about your whippersnipper down here.
So I've reached out to the. I like the way you segued here because he's trying to have a go at us back.
Unsuccessfully.
Unsuccessfully, but I've entered the electric market.
What brand is it?
I've brought a Ryobi to give it a go,
mistake.
just from Bunnings to
Big
start
mistake.
with. Yes, so I have a few Milwaukee tools as well, but I wasn't ready to jump to that stage yet. So I just thought I would get a Ryobi one, give it a go, and see how we go with it. But so far, so good. It's been quite good. Gets around our yard without any issues at all. So
And
really,
who does that, Dan? Who does that with sniffing at your house?
well, because we were coming down here to Canberra this time, and I only just recently purchased it. My lovely wife, Alex, thank you for being there and taking care of the lawn maintenance. And you did a great job, is what I've been told. I haven't seen the result from it. I haven't seen the result from it, but Zoe said you did a great job, and thank you for your hard work that you do with running the household like you do, and looking after the girls, because we know our partners do so much more than us, because we're away so much for our roles. So thank you to Alex, and thank you to all of our other wives and kids for putting up. What I meant with other wives was these two. What I meant was their wives, not other wives. Anyway, well, it is other wives because they're your wives, not my wives. So
Where is this gone? Where is this gone?
Okay, wife. Thank you to Alex, my beautiful wife, and lovely daughters Zoe and Asha, for all you guys do to keep the household trim and taut for what you guys do. So thank you. I hope some of that gets cut.
And none of it will. And none of it will.
Because we've learnt from this. I don't cut anything.
That's right.
Yes.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, I think it's time.
Yep.
It's time.
It's
Yeah,
time. I'll let you start off because I started off last time.
Yeah, okay.
You
good.
start.
Good. Well, that's really nice of you to let me go forward for once on this.
I'm a
because,
gentleman.
Yeah,
I am a gentleman.
We've seen differently on this podcast, but anyway. So we have a little rivalry that we have going between the beautiful Hunter Valley, which is, as you said, been powering New South Wales and Australia for the last century. We have beautiful wine, some of the best wine in the world. We've even won trophies for the best wine in the world. Tourism is just a must in our area. We have the biggest saltwater lake in the Southern Hemisphere. It is just a mecca for people just visiting. It is the second biggest tourism area in New South Wales. Restaurants to die for. And as I said, that beautiful wine, thoroughbreds everywhere.
He's already got food in
It is the
Parramatta,
place
mate.
that, yeah, I know. But you got to eat out too sometimes in other places and try the cuisines from all around
That's right.
the area.
That's
So,
exactly right.
and then you have Gordon that lives on an area and looks after an area where culture goes to die. So they really don't have much going for it. They got a beach. The beach is nice, but the beach goes all around Australia, so it's not like it's uncommon.
Same with Cole, mate. Same with Cole.
Coal isn't all over Australia, or else we'd be talking about things differently. So
They got
yeah,
wine
we
everywhere
really.
too.
No, they don't. Not the best wine in the world.
That's good. Anyway, we'll cut there for a moment. So yeah, you've got the option of dining in a coal mine. Or alternatively, you come to the Central Coast, has one of the biggest national parks in Australia, absolutely beautiful trail walks. It's an emerging multicultural electorate. We have a lot of people coming from Sydney, from Newcastle, from Wollongong. These new communities are being established on the Central Coast. We've got beautiful restaurants also, I should say, Daniel, that overlook some of the most pristine beaches in the world. Ocean Beach and Yamina Beach being God's country, of course.
Yeah.
Jeez. And I should also say as well, some world-leading spirits at Distillery Botanica, Fires Creek Winery, and also some of the best beers in Australia. I'm talking about Six Strings Brewery, Block and Tackle over at Kingcumber.
Good name.
Bay Road Brewing over at Gosford. Beautiful establishments. So not only do you have the option to go out, to eat beautiful food, have a great drink, but also to see some of the best natural wonders that we have in Australia. So your option is clearly either that, or Dan can set up a foldable table in a coal mine, and you can go and eat henny penny covered in gravy. So
We actually don't have. I know we do have one henny penny in the electorate. Yes, so it's a bit hard to get henny penny there.
is
anyway,
it the Central Coast or the Hunter Valley?
and we got one of Lakes Foley's best here. They
You
sell
are
out
putting it on hard today.
every year. They sell it every because it's a competition. They sell out every year.
You got a prop today.
These guys have no wine available till April. It's usually sold out by Christmas. So that's how important wine is to the Hunter Valley, that it just sells out like that, big boy. What do you get? Do you get your beer sold out like that? No.
Yeah, absolutely we do. Yeah,
that's good.
you actually need to go to some of these breweries as well.
We should do a brewery off. So we go to the ones in the Hunter, then we'll go to the ones where culture goes to die.
That's a big weekend.
Yeah, so we might have to do it over a little
Sorry,
bit.
sorry, Shaylee and Alex, for that debauchery that will unfold. So,
And back to you.
the Central Coast or the Hunter?
Well, the interview had ended. Well, look, I'm going to be diplomatic because
No, you're not.
No, you
no.
can't be diplomatic. You can't be a fence sitter.
I realise this is just a way for you guys to suck up to try and get freebies from your local breweries and wineries. So I'll help you both out by saying that both the Central Coast and the Hunter are beautiful places.
But if you had to pick one, if you had to pick one,
So clearly all, Andrew's going further in this place than we are. That's why he's clearly not making a choice here.
I'm just trying to help you as you like scrounge for freebies from your wineries.
We don't have any sponsors for the show yet, and unfortunately they're not free. I pay for all these.
I don't think I've received a single six-pack in my life.
This is a desperate attempt to get a sponsorship for the show.
We're trying hard.
Yeah.
Blake Foley, we love your work.
So go on.
Look, both,
Dr. Charlton.
both beautiful parts of Australia, and very lucky to have such talented and handsome members of Parliament as well.
Jesus.
So well, on that note, we're going to pull the pin here because he's clearly sitting on the fence and not going to come out and tell us what he thinks.
James Bond's got to go get dressed.
It'll be the time Mission Impossible. We'll get that music going at the end.
That's
here
right.
when he walks out the door.
He'll
So-
scale the flagpole and abseil down and get off into his jet with no shoes on.
But to all the viewers and listeners out this one, Merry Christmas. Thank you for indulging us with your time over the last 12 months with these episodes. So make sure you get out there and buy Hunter wine, but buy Australian wine, buy Australian beer for Christmas. Get on the prawns, get on the hams. Really enjoy your time and have a great Christmas and New Year's, and look forward to seeing you all next year.
Merry Christmas, team, and thank you, Dr. Charlton.
Thanks, boys.
Thank you, buddy. Pleasure having you. He said Merry Christmas too.